The liar.
Keisha repeated these 3 words silently in his heart. After confirming his identity, he calmly placed his card face down. Just a minute ago, he had entertained the thought of everyone leaving alive. But now, things were different. Although he didn't know the 8 people in front of him, this time, it had to be them who died.
If no one has any objections, please remember the rules. In this game, there is one and only one liar.
The goat-headed man said, pointing to the sexy girl on Keisha's left.
Then, starting with you, we'll proceed clockwise.
Me?
The girl was stunned for a moment, then pouted. Keisha glanced over and realized that starting with the girl to his left and proceeding clockwise wasn't favorable for him. He would be the last to speak in situations of extreme tension and pressure. People usually only remember the first and the last speakers, but raising an objection now would seem too abrupt. He had no choice but to take things one step at a time. The sexy girl furrowed her brows, her large eyes darting around. Finally, she sighed and said,
All right, I'll go first. But I've never been good at telling stories. So don't blame me if it's not good.
At this moment, no one knew what to say, so they simply listened quietly. The sexy girl reached out with slender fingers, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, and began.
My name is Tian Tian, and I'm a technical worker. We earn our living with our skills, and I'm not ashamed of it. Only then did everyone notice that.
The girl named Tian. Tian was dressed very scantily, wearing only a dirty low-cut miniskirt that left little to the imagination. But she didn't seem to care about that.
Many of my stories aren't suitable to share with everyone. Anyway, you can call me Action, but asking me to describe is really hard. After all, if I were educated, I wouldn't be doing this kind of work. Anyway, before I came here, I was at work, but the client I met was really strange. Our shop clearly provides service areas, but he insisted on going to his car, saying it would be more exciting. So, to earn money, I had no choice but to go with him. This was my first time working in a car. I didn't expect such a fancy-looking car to be so cramped inside. Before long, I was drenched in sweat. I really don't see what's so exciting about a place like this. The whole time, the client's phone kept ringing, but he refused to answer it. It was driving me crazy.
Tian seemed like she wanted to curse the client a bit more, but her eyes accidentally caught sight of the corpse on the table. She shuddered, took a deep breath, and continued.
Forget it. I chose this line of work, so I'll own it. But I never expected there to be an earthquake. At first, I thought the shaking was because we were being too rough. Who knew it was an actual earthquake?
At the mention of the word earthquake, everyone's expressions shifted slightly, as if recalling something.
Our car was parked in an alley, with a huge billboard right above us. At that moment, my head was sticking out of the car, and I saw it.
Tian gestured above her head, her voice trembling.
That massive billboard suddenly broke with a loud clang and fell right onto the car. After that, I lost consciousness.
She took another deep breath and said,
When I woke up, I was here. I was so scared.
Tian wore a pitiful expression, one that seemed practiced to make men feel sympathetic. The tattooed man sitting next to her paused for a moment and said,
Everyone, do we need to keep going?
The man in the white coat looked at him, puzzled.
What do you mean?
This lady is already lying. We can just vote now.
The tattooed man said confidently.
You! What are you talking about?
Tian Tian exclaimed, startled.
Where did I lie?
The tattooed man gave her a cold look and said, "Your name. You said your name is Tian. Tian, but all hostesses use pseudonyms. Names like Tian Tian, Xiao Fei, or Lili are common aliases. So, by hiding your real name, you've already lied." At these words, Tian Tian's face turned red.
You're talking nonsense! My name is Tian Tian. I haven't used my real name in years.
She glanced around at everyone and added,
At my workplace, only Tian Tian will get you to me. If you use my real name, no one will know who you're talking about.
The group fell into thought, and Keisha's expression also turned serious. From Tian Tian's story, Keisha couldn't detect any signs of lying. Her narration was steady, her tone calm. This conversational style of storytelling could only mean two things. Either she had rehearsed the story long ago and told it to herself many times, or she was telling the truth. But now, the tattooed man had given Keisha another perspective, lying about one's name. Lying about a name doesn't require logical consistency or plausibility, making it hard for others to detect. After all, none of the people present had met before, and names could only be known through each other's accounts. Shia recalled the goat-headed man's words.
Among all the storytellers, there is one liar.
The rule didn't specify that the liar had to use a fake story to lie, fake name would also count. Seeing that she was under suspicion, Tian Tian widened her eyes, looking extremely nervous.
If you still don't believe me, my real name is Zhang Lihuan. I'm from Shangxi. You can try calling me by my real name, but I won't respond. I'll only answer Chu, Tian Tian.
Hearing this, Keisha silently shook his head. This woman wasn't as clever as he had imagined. In other words, she couldn't have fabricated this lie in advance, nor could she have come up with the idea of lying about her name on the spot. The goat-headed man had said,
There is one and only one liar.
That person could only be Keisha himself, if no one else noticed the significance of the issue with Tianchen. Then he had found a surefire way to win. If he were to fabricate a name, Qi wasn't a good choice. While not rare, it wasn't common either, and it was easy to remember. He needed to avoid surnames that stood out. In other words, everything he said had to be as inconspicuous as possible. So, he decided to call himself Li Ming. As for the rest of his story, he could tell it normally. That way, no matter how sharp the others were, they wouldn't be able to spot any flaws. The game was about to end,